micro.
Okay, now
Yes.
mine is on.
It's working. Oh, this one. So, dear President, dear Secretary General Stefano Sannino, dear Ambassador, dear colleagues, I have the pleasure to welcome all of you to the European Parliament part of the program of the EU Ambassadors Conference, which is a tradition, and actually I have the pleasure to welcome you back. Since 3 years we had no time to see us, no chance to see us physically, and the meeting took place in a hybrid format. So we are all super happy to have the possibility to do the meeting once again in this physical format. And the program for the afternoon will be quite rich. We will have the intervention of the President, which is going to be followed later on by the Secretary General of the European Parliament, who will join us later, and the stakeholders that you all know here in the European Parliament, the President of the main committees dealing with external relations, and the President of the Conference of the Delegation Chair, who is going to be represented by the Chair of the Latin America Delegation. So without waiting more, I am very happy to give the floor to the President. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, dear Pietro. Thank you, Stefano. Thank you, dear ambassadors, for being here during your lunch hour. Dear friends, welcome to the European Parliament at what is a critical moment for our European project. So you must forgive me if my language is a little bit less diplomatic today than we are used to, but perhaps it's a sign of the times. I don't want to fall into the trap of hyperbole, but I do not want to understate just how serious the situation is. We are facing challenges on multiple fronts: a war on our continent, a disinformation and propaganda campaign that uses tools that we created against us, political instability in different key regions of the world, and rising inflation and dwindling energy supplies that are causing turmoil. Some of the threats that we face are existential, which is why our response to Russia's illegal, brutal and unjustified invasion of sovereign Ukraine must be steadfast, it must be strong, and it must be unshakable. And any sign of disunity among us will be exploited immediately. The geopolitical sands shifted long before the 24th of February, but perhaps we looked away from those signs for a little bit too long. Perhaps we were comforted by the idea that we could lull Russia into economic and energy ties that will ensure peace. Now, hindsight is a wonderful thing, but it is not real. And the only thing we can do is learn the lessons and ensure that we never repeat them. This invasion is not only about territory, nor is it only about Russia and Ukraine. This is about two very different ways of life, about whether multilateralism can still respond to the threats of unilateral aggression, about whether our way of liberal democracy is resilient enough to withstand the pressure of large armies, about whether open markets and social safety nets are here to stay, about whether our commitment to equality and the rule of law remains even when under attack, and about whether a rules-based order can push back against the concept of might is right. It is about fundamentally different ways that are now in confrontation with each other. And my answer, our stand, is an emphatic defence of our European way, always. Because democracy is not weakness. Rights and liberties are goals, not obstacles. Now, Europe must adapt to this new world, and together we must face a world that is changing, that is different, and that pushes Europe to change with it. Putin thought he could break us, but instead he strengthened our resolve. The illegal annexation of Ukrainian territories after a series of sham referenda and the latest indiscriminate shelling of Kiev and other Ukrainian cities are just two of the last moves hoping that we blink first. We can't. Their escalation must be met with our willingness to go further, to help more. Ukrainians need to be able to defend themselves and us by extension. And in this new, more dangerous phase of war, they need the heavy armour and defence systems that will allow them to survive the onslaught. Because only if Ukraine is able to defend itself will we ever be able to be in a position to push for peace. And when we talk about peace, it is a real peace and not one forced through blackmail. And in Europe, we have long learnt and understood that appeasement did not work, it does not work, and will never work. So with our push for peace, there must also be a push for justice, a push for accountability for the numerous documented war crimes committed on European soil. Since the beginning of Russia's aggression, the European Union has approved an unprecedented €7.2 billion in financial aid to Ukraine and adopted 8 packages of far-reaching sanctions to impede the financing of Putin's war machine. We have provided €2.5 billion in support of Ukrainian armed forces, and critical military support will continue to be given. And I am proud that the European Parliament has been at the forefront of efforts, even practically speaking, by opening its premises to the Ukrainian Solidarity Hub, many of whom of your colleagues have visited. And also we have sent truckloads of IT equipment and protective gear to the Verkhovna Rada. But perhaps our most significant decision has been to grant Ukraine and Moldova EU candidate status. This status, in the case of Ukraine and Moldova, gives Ukrainian people a clear European perspective and a path for development, even if we know that it will take time and that it will not be easy. This European Parliament is currently working with the Verkhovna Rada to adopt legislation that is needed in order to bring the lawmakers in a position to vote on the acquis that we require of them. We have also, from this very room, on the 1st of March, reached out to 160 parliaments to rally them towards Ukraine's cause. This network continues to facilitate President Zelensky's ability to address parliaments around the world so that he can give a first-hand account of the situation on the ground. And this will continue to prove crucial to ensure that war fatigue does not set in. Ladies and gentlemen, Europe has done a lot, but there is no time for complacency. We will be called upon to do yet more. And this means working closely with our like-minded partners, strengthening already existing links and partnerships, and where possible, and pursuing new alliances. We have to work together. We need to pool our resources and work towards common objectives, and here I'm talking about all EU institutions and member states as one single Team Europe. Now, of course, we all have different assets and ways to achieve our objectives, which are common, but we must keep pulling the same rope. The Parliament is not only about adopting legislation or financial packets of aid. Members of the European Parliament reflect the debates in member states, and each and every single member helps to bring the message of Europe home. This is critical, and we have seen this more than ever since the 24th of February. This House also remains in continuous dialogue with office holders and parliamentarians across the globe. Our committees send members to high-level multilateral meetings and organise thematic missions to key third countries. We work on a daily basis to consolidate our partnerships, build alliances and keep dialogues of communications open across the world. Through targeted programmes, in fact, for parliaments, our aim is to continue supporting democracies and democratic political cultures and societies in our neighbourhoods and beyond, because multilateralism is the only sustainable way to safeguard peace across the world. Today you will discuss how to improve our cooperation so that we can effectively respond to current challenges and improve the resilience of democracies worldwide. And it is clear that EU delegations, representations and missions have a crucial role to play here. Many of you work in environments marked by propaganda and disinformation campaigns, which pose additional challenges. A battle of narrative rages on all continents, where our intentions are often misrepresented and our role is challenged. We need to join efforts and amplify our message to our respective networks, both at bilateral and multilateral level. We need to get better at highlighting the European Union's engagement and investment to the benefit of all citizens across the globe. We also need to do more to counter malign actors that seek to undermine our joint EU action by pitting us against each other. And here, let me thank you for your unwavering commitment to our Union's values and for the support that you give to this House and its members. The impressive work that you do on the ground truly warrants special recognition. Finally, today more than ever, we need to work together in a concerted manner, not to duplicate our efforts, but rather to reinforce our common message. And I hope that today's session will give you concrete insights into our global engagement, help open new avenues for our cooperation, and give us the renewed impetus that we need in these extraordinarily challenging times. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam President.